In this video, we're going to address the question, does weightlifting stunt growth? And we're going to address it with finality. And we're going to make it clear, and I believe at the end of this video, you're going to understand it in a way that you have never understood it before. And when you hear other people talk about the subject, you will be able to know what's BS and what's not. You'll know what you don't even need to pay attention to. The purpose of this video is so that you have understanding. And it is very plain. It is very plain. And so, right now, what I'm going to do is reposition myself and get further away from these speakers, because I got crappy sound quality, but I'm going to try to make it a little better so those S's won't be so hard on the mic. All right. So maybe this position is a little better. So we're going to address this question now. First of all, you may be wondering please watch this video. This is it. You in the right place. Just know that. You in the right spot. First things first. My channel is for adults. I've been noticing recently that more teenagers are watching this channel. So I think this is a good video for them. And so, if you're a teenager, hang around to the end. But also for my adult audience, let me go ahead and let them know. If you haven't downloaded my book yet, go ahead and do that. The Butterfly Way. You can download it for free. How to Trigger a Leg Growth Spurt, a vertical bodybuilder's guide to getting taller fast. The link to the free book is in the description. If you're a teenager watching this, you need to know that this book is for adults. It's not for teenagers. There are certain protocols in the book that could possibly stunt your growth. Okay? And I don't want that for you. Maybe sometime in the future I can write up something for teenagers specifically. But the thing is, you need to make sure you grow. So the book is not something that I would encourage you to get. Maybe at some point I can talk about what aspects in the book that I believe might stunt a teenager's growth. But anyway, that's that. Also, for the adults listening in, if you want to look over my shoulder as I implement the Butterfly Way, as I implement what's in that book, then subscribe to the Butterfly Way Journal. Basically, you'll see what I do to trigger spurts of growth, and you can ask questions along the way. There's no need to be left in the dark. Okay? I'm going to show you what I'm doing to get taller as an adult. And you can ask questions as it's happening. Okay? The link to that is in the description box. Okay? So download my book, and you can jump on board with the Butterfly Way Journal. And finally, before we get into the main material, if you want me to personally help you trigger a growth spurt within 30 days, if timing is critical, and you need to start trigger a growth spurt right now, I would be happy to help you to do that for free. If you're that dream, but it's on a condition, if you're that dream client that I'm looking for, I will personally work with you one-on-one to help you trigger a growth spurt and see your first height gains within 30 days. And it doesn't matter what type of growth you want to focus on. If you're interested in whole body growth, cool. If you want want to focus on legs only? Great. It doesn't matter to me. You can even get x-rays before we start. There are certain x-rays that will measure the length of your leg bones, your tibia and your femur. You could do that. I hope you do it. And you can do that before we work together, and you can do it again after we work together. Okay? I'm confident that I can help you grow like that. Okay? Man, that was a weak snap. Alright, forget it. I got crappy audio anyway. Alright, let's move on to the material. Her name is Shannon Clark. I would present to you a link for this article, but the link doesn't work anymore because the website that it was featured on has changed. It was on the bodybuilding.com website. That website has changed. So thankfully, I screenshotted the article when I first saw it because I saw how valuable it was and I didn't want to ever lose it. So I have it here and I'm going to read it to you right now. Top 5 things you should know about teen bodybuilding. Luckily, with a smart teen bodybuilding workout program, changes can successfully be made. Here are the top 5 things every teen should know before starting. Learn more. More and more young adolescents are starting to venture into the world of teen bodybuilding, hoping to get a head start at changing their bodies and showing off a more muscular physique by the time they hit upper high school levels. For many teenagers, their confidence and self-esteem is closely intertwined with the proportions of their body, with those who are lesser developed really suffering from feelings of low self-esteem and feeling out of place compared to their larger counterparts. Me, I lived in a fairly dangerous neighborhood, so I just wanted to bulk up so nobody messed with me and my brother. And he really did a good job bulking up. He got a reputation for being strong, me, later. But we both feel like we stunted our growth. No one was sharing this type of information with us. But anyway, I'll just keep reading. Luckily, with a smart teen bodybuilding workout program, changes can successfully be made. It's important to know a few key points with regards to teen bodybuilding before jumping into the gym, however, as if the program is not carried out in the correct manner, a number of problems could arise. 5 teen bodybuilding rules. Number 1, follow the 10% rule. Being that you are still in the rapid growth period that typically happens during the early adolescent years, if you start up on a teen bodybuilding workout program that is too intense for what your body is able to handle, this is going to compromise all the other reactions that are taking place in the body. You see? Again, you have so much growth energy in your body. You have a lot of reactions, a lot of things taking place. When you put these new stresses on your body, such as weight training in order to bulk up, energies are being diverted. Particularly if you aren't being replenished in a way that supports your intensity. You will need more replenishment. Okay. Many teens hear about the rumor that weight training at a young age can stunt growth. And this is the reason that this rumor got started. And see, it's not really much of a rumor. There's truth to it. I'll continue reading. You should understand that weight training itself is not going to stunt growth. But if you are weight training so intensely that the body has no energy left to use for the natural growth process, that's when you will not reach your full height. Okay? Yo! Simple. I don't remember it ever being explained to me like this when I was a kid. I would just hear, "Oh, don't worry about it, that's a rumor." I don't remember doctors giving me any wisdom on the subject, or at least any wisdom that I could grasp. Okay, I'm going to read this part again. Because here it is. She elaborates. We'll get into that. But this is important. If you're a teen, man, this could affect so much. It could affect your life. Let's just call it what it is. It could affect your whole life, your trajectory. When you're a teenager, growing is top priority. And you want to make sure you get the most out of it. So I'll read this again. You should understand that weight training itself is not going to stunt growth. But, this is a big but, if you are weight training so intensely that the body has no energy left to use for the natural growth process, that's when you will not reach your full height. See, you hear all this weight training stunts growth because it make your muscles tight. And if there's any truth to that line of reasoning, I would say that 100% that is not the main reason that weightlifting stunts growth. The main reason is right here. This is the number one reason. Forget what you heard. This is it. Okay? So the main message here is watch the total intensity of your workouts during the week, and also make sure you're eating enough. Okay? Make sure you're eating enough total calories so that you still have plenty. I love that word. It's important. Make sure you're eating enough total calories so that you still have plenty of energy for the body to grow and function normally. Okay? You see that part, function normally? What are we talking about? Well, I think it's possible that it's talking about full development, because there's not just growth, there's also development. You don't want to stifle either. Okay? You don't want to stifle either one. So you want to have plenty of energy. And again, I would say for growing teenagers, that energy should be fed heavily with milk and meats. There are some other things that are important in when it comes to general nutrition. I will say, if you're a teenager, feel free to come back to this channel for any videos where I talk about nutrition, like certain nutrition after a workout. I would say that you may find that useful, actually. Certain things that one might consume after a grow tall workout in order to make the most of it. Okay? Yeah. Yeah, listen to your boy now. Listen to me. Man, I remember 10 years ago, a little over 10 years ago, when I first started having high gains. I first started having high gains when I was 33 years old. And I remember someone asked me for some advice, sent me a private message. Back then, YouTube had the private message feature. And a young guy, he asked me, what can he do to grow taller? I told him some things. He got back with me, and he said something like, he said something like half an inch. Like he felt, he had measured himself, and he felt like he had grown half an inch, but it was like, it felt so unreal. And I don't remember if I heard from him again or whatever. But he started growing. And there was a certain cocktail I told him about. And he started drinking it. And his height went up quick. And, you know, there's another dynamic there, but I won't get into it. The key, nutrition is important. And when you're taking the right nutrition, things can happen fast. And yeah. There's a whole lot more I want to say, but I'll refrain. Things can happen real fast, okay? It's also a smart plan to aim for increasing the intensity by only 10% at a time, so your body is better able to adapt to the training stimulus you are providing it. Okay. All right. I won't add to that. We'll keep going. 2. Do body weight, lightweight exercises for at least 1 month. If you are a teen who is new to bodybuilding, the second thing you should keep in mind is that it would be a very smart plan to spend a good month or so performing only bodyweight exercises. I feel inclined to mention something that you often hear. People might say, lifting weights don't stunt growth because I know so-and-so, he was lifting weights, and he's 6 feet tall. And he was lifting weights, and he was a teenager, didn't stunt his growth. Some people may say that. Well, here's my reply. First of all, I don't know at what point the person started lifting weights. Second of all, I don't know if the person was really meant to be 7 foot tall instead of 6 feet tall. I don't know. Maybe he walking around 6 feet tall. Maybe he did stunt his growth. He just don't look like that way to most people. But maybe the person did have stunted growth. But number 3 is, if that guy didn't stunt his growth, it's because he was being replenished sufficiently. And I believe most teenagers who undertake weightlifting do not replenish sufficiently. That's my opinion. I could be wrong, but I think most are not replenishing sufficiently. And so, weightlifters are on the shorter side. Those who did it as teenagers. Now, you may have had a different experience growing up. But, yeah. We'll keep it going. So, body weight exercises. This will help your body get used to the resistance training type of stimulus without the very high load that accompanies traditional weightlifting workouts. You can also perform some of the exercises you do plan on doing, such as squats, bench press, shoulder press, and so on, using very light weights, 10 to 20 pounds, so that you are able to ensure you're using proper form. Yeah. I would say light weights, high repetitions, to me, they do appear good for enhancing circulation in the body. And this would actually be good for growth if you are replenishing yourself sufficiently, because there's a lot of energy involved in doing high repetition workouts. And if you're doing low weight, high repetition workouts, and you're still gradually building the heaviness of the weights, but you're still maintaining high repetitions, I think there's value in that as well. But then again, replenishment needs to be sufficient, because the workout itself uses energy. And then if you're increasing the weight, the heaviness of the weight, those things trigger muscle growth. So you will need enough nutrition to facilitate that muscle growth. It's not as much muscle growth as if you were lifting very heavy weights, but it's still muscle growth. So you need enough to replenish the muscle growth. You need enough to replenish just the work, the energy expenditure of even performing a workout. And you need additional nutrition to actually facilitate your height growth. Okay? And if, you can talk to the right person who can help you gain weight without being fat. But I think we all know the main answer to that, but hey, maybe you don't know. But sticking more to the protein side of things can help with that, but at the same time, that's why I say this is a channel for adults, because carbs are important. Carbs, starches, all that kind of stuff. Anything with carbohydrates in it is important for growing children. And when I say children, I mean anybody under 18. Yeah, those are children. So, I think carbs are important for children. Anyway, my main point is, and make sure, well, to make sure you get enough protein. Make sure you get enough. You gotta do that. All right. Getting proper form down pat before continuing on will be vital to setting you up for a reduced injury rate in the future. If you rush into lifting weights too soon, you could compromise your ability to use good form and develop very bad habits that will be much harder to break later on. 3. Correctly understand the changes that are taking place in the body. When you begin a weightlifting program as a teenager, your body is not going to react in exactly the same manner as someone who is in their early 20s or 30s would. In those younger years, you don't have the levels of testosterone going through your body that older individuals do. Or is your body capable of generating muscle tissue as quickly? One research study that was conducted out of the Harvard Medical School in Boston showed that typically when resistance training is carried out at the younger years, although strength gains can definitely be demonstrated, usually those specific strength gains are actually due to the result of increased neuromuscular activation and coordination, not actual muscle hypertrophy. Because of this fact, if training is stopped suddenly, there is an increased chance that the individual will lose some of the size he has gained quicker than someone at an older age would. This should not be a deferring factor in getting started on a resistance training workout, but rather use the information to understand what's going on in your body so that if something forces you to stop doing your workouts for a period of time, you don't get too discouraged if you see some size loss. Typically, this size will come back quickly again as soon as you resume training, especially if the break period only lasts for a month or two. The study also reported that those young athletes who were engaging in the resistance training were also not at any higher risk of injury than those who were not, laying to rest the myth that teen bodybuilders are asking for injury. Keep in mind, though, this assumes proper form and technique are being used. Number 4, fuel your muscles properly. As you go about your teen bodybuilding workout program, you need to be sure you take the time to look after your nutrition. As we touched upon briefly above, if you are not fueling body properly, this does pose a significant threat to proper growth. Man, you hear this? This ain't nothing to play with. This ain't nothing to play with. This for real. Man, I done heard so many people minimize this stuff. They minimize working out and stuff like no. Listen here. As we touched upon briefly above, if you aren't fueling your body properly, this does pose a significant threat to proper growth. I like that word significant. It didn't say it's a small threat. It didn't say it's a threat. The article says significant threat. And it makes sense. Mathematically, it makes sense. The chart that we discussed before. Height is weight. But it's a certain type of weight. And those who are building muscle, they are sacrificing weight that would be used for height. Unless, of course, they are able to replenish sufficiently so that they will have both the nutrients and the growth energy to achieve vertical gains. Okay. If you are not fueling your body properly, this does pose a significant threat to proper growth. And since reaching full height potential is quite important to most teenagers, this is something you're concerned about. Okay. Remember that you already require a higher number of calories per day on average during your prime growth years. So then, you must add more calories to this daily total in order to support the workouts, and even more yet if you do want to grow larger. Beautiful! Calories during your prime growth years. You want to make sure that you're already having a higher number of calories during those years, but you must add more calories to this daily total in order to support the workouts, and even more yet if you want to grow larger. Good stuff. A good range to shoot for, as far as most teen bodybuilders are concerned, is 17 to 20 calories per pound. If you already know you are someone who does tend to put body fat on a bit easier, then you will want to start at the lower end. While if you're someone who is thin as a pole right now, move towards the high end. It's clear that your metabolism is in high gear. And if you don't supply enough calories, you could even begin losing more weight. You as a teenager should also not be attempting any intricate diet practices such as very low-carb diets or otherwise, but rather focusing on a mix of healthy proteins, carbohydrates, and dietary fats. Good advice. Good advice. The only thing I would say, though, is it will be good to be heavy-handed with them proteins. Or milk, just have a lot of milk. There's a guy on YouTube, his name is Tyro Life. Tyrolife. And he has another name. I think he's called Austin Wayne. Austin. First name, last name Wayne. Austin Wayne. He's also called Tyro Life. He would drink a gallon of milk for a year. He drank a gallon of milk. He was 17. He drank a gallon of milk for a year. A gallon of milk a day. A gallon of milk a day for a year. And he also would eat a lot of protein. He did some other stuff too. You can go to his channel, find out. Homeboy grew like 7 or 8 inches in 1 year. He went from 5'9" to 6'4" or 6'5", something like that. And I think he grew another inch in his 20s. So yeah, you can check him out. Protein. Gotta do that protein. Alright. Limiting the macronutrients at this time could rob your body of micronutrients, vitamins, and minerals that are needed for proper growth and development. Maintain perspective and balance. Finally, the 5th thing you should be doing if you're a teenager who is getting started into teen bodybuilding is maintaining proper perspective and balance. There are a growing number of teens who do not quite see their real body looking back at them when they look in the mirror because they're developing body dysmorphia, which essentially makes them think they are fatter or thinner than what they really are. If you begin to find yourself becoming obsessed with gaining size or losing weight, it's time to take a step back and refocus yourself on what really matters at this point in your life. While you do definitely want to work towards a body you're proud of, there is a fine line between wanting to look your best and feeling as though your success as a person depends on it. Amen to that. Amen to that. Yeah. That goes for adults and children, obviously, but adults as well. Conclusion. By maintaining balance with your workout goals and the other activities in your life, you will set yourself up for many years of healthy working out, which will get you the body you are looking for in the long run. All right. Yeah. So that's that. Oh, let me see these references. Oh, this could be how she knew all that cool stuff. Strength training for children and adolescents. Okay. Intensive training in young adults. Yeah, okay. That's that. And the thing is, for adults, as I mentioned in the book, there's a particular culture out there whose dietary principles suggest that growth continues into the mid-30s. So, that's why this stuff would have some application to adults as well. Because adults can still grow. In fact, growth can happen in the 40s. And apparently beyond. But generally speaking, the best time to grow and to get most of your height in is when you're a teenager. And so definitely it's important for teenagers to know this information.